Welcome to East Coast DNA. This is
Darcy.
And I'm Andrew. We're brothers from Nova Scotia. And this podcast is covering East Coast musicians, originally starting to be the re-emergence of live music since COVID started. Now it is, since COVID restrictions were lifting, I guess.
Yes.
And it's wide open. It's wide open.
Yeah.
Last week we had a super episode with nominees for Rock Performance of the Year. Correct? That's what it was.
Recording.
Rock Recording of the Year.
Same difference at this point.
Yeah, I think it's the same. And we released a 2-hour episode. This week we're cutting it up and we're going Monday to Friday. So what's the theme this week, Darcy?
Originally we were reaching out to entertainers of the year, but a couple things. One, we quickly realized that as we were gathering notes for some of the interviews, that most of the entertainers of the year are in other categories as well, which made it a little interesting. And on top of that, the Hurricane Fiona that ripped through the East Coast and just destroyed everything.
When was that? Was that recent?
Yeah, it was maybe you were asleep.
Yeah, I think I got a nap.
That was when I was doing interviews, and then I woke you up right when the power came back on.
When did the hurricane happen?
Couple.
While you were sleeping.
Yes. So that kind of put a little bit of a pause on some of the little spree of interviews that I was doing for these, but we do have another set of 5. And as you and I had discussed, we figured instead of releasing another 2-hour episode, maybe this one would break up a little bit, and with everybody doing cleanup or resting and recovering a little bit from all of the cleanup and devastation that happened in the region, we thought maybe it might be a little bit of a distraction for people, some extra entertainment content. You know, that's when I listen to podcasts the most, is if I'm out cleaning brush or burning or doing laundry, dishes, all of the fun stuff that everyone fell behind on when they had no power for the better part or more than a week in some cases.
Yeah, I still got friends that still have no power and they don't think it's coming back till Tuesday, so they'll be it's almost 10 days now, so they're going to be like almost 2 weeks before they get power back. Yeah,
it's quite a bit.
Yeah, that would stink. Today's Monday, and we're going to start off the week with an interview with Rich Aucoin. And here he is with Darcy.
So, thanks for joining us on East Coast DNA. And
thanks for having me.
Congratulations on the nomination for Entertainer of the Year.
Thank you.
This little batch of interviews we're actually going through and grabbing as many of the Entertainer of the Year nominees as we can. So, one thing, I mean, for most of these, we were going back and doing a recap for everyone. You've been around for a while, and I think it was like 2006 or something that you put out your first like self-released.
2007, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I do remember reading about it back then because you had the thing where it synced up with the Grinch.
Yeah.
That was the right one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So back then, it doesn't matter how old you were. Sometimes I get into it a little bit. So at the time, it was something that you were doing that was a little experimental, but I might be kind of generalizing. I think this Entertainer of the Year has a large part to do with your live show, more so than your recording.
Right, yeah.
So back at the beginning of your career, was it the project of trying to build audio that would overlay with an existing video was that the experiment, or were you already doing live performances and you wanted something cool to throw up on stage with you?
Yeah, it was my first recording, so I thought I would do the recording before playing my first show.
Cool.
So it went record show. So I wasn't like looking for something to put on behind me, but I also, I was very into Pink Floyd, synced up with The Wizard of Oz, and I decided at that point that I wanted all my records to sync up to something, and and so I thought it would be a good experiment for my first EP to try and sync it up to the beloved Christmas classic, Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So the nice thing about that is it was like a 22-minute length. Like our memory of it is that it's longer than what it actually is. So it's actually a perfect like first EP record length. And then I just kind of put it up on the screen and at home and kind of wrote the songs to sync up to it, and like it was like a film score.
Yeah.
And then so my early performance days, I wouldn't really talk to the audience at all. I would just kind of hit play on the movie, and all my music would be in sync to it, and I would play. My first show, actually, I set up 14 instruments on stage and played a bit of guitar and vibraphone and bass and keyboard and synthesizer and glockenspiel and trumpet and everything.
And so is Heaven trying to incorporate all this like that? Is that why you started introducing a ridiculous number of guest artists in your album? And I say ridiculous in that I think one of your the album had over 500 musicians by the end of it.
Yeah, so that was the second. So then I always make a set of rules for every record, and I tack those up on the wall. So while I'm making the record, it's very very apparent, kind of like a Brian Eno kind of how he's got those oblique strategies. Like I'll have these like defined rules that I make before each record, and so because the first one was called Personal Publication, and the idea was that I was just going to make it and play everything myself. I thought a thing to invert for the next record would be to do it with a bunch of people, and it was originally just supposed to be an EP called Publication, but as you said, once I got over the 500 collaborators mark, there was no way I was going to fit that many people in 22 minutes. So it turned into like a 56-minute record.
So your live shows and your albums are both quite experimental, really. And as you started to collaborate more with people, did it organically become that you interacted more with your audience? Because the description that you have of where you were at the beginning is the exact opposite of how somebody would describe one of your shows nowadays.
Yeah.
So you're right in there. I mean, going back, even just doing some research to refresh myself on some things, and like you had the surfboard out, actually crowd surfing with a surfboard. I listened to an interview where you were talking about like a confetti bomb that you wanted to be like a Death Star that would. Did you perfect that?
No, I never made that idea happen. So that's still on the ideas list if I get to do a big festival run again. In those days when I did that interview, I was playing like 2 to 3 festivals a weekend.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it was like constantly just thinking of like new things I could try during the show, because it was like, just living in a festival circuit for an entire summer. I've got to try lots of things. I like describing the show as a constant experiment, and trying. Every show is unique to like wherever I am. I have like a big opening credits that's like I type out in like Adobe Premiere, and it's like an opening credits for like specific to whatever the venue and the show is. And back in the day, when people still used Facebook events, like I would pull names off the Facebook. But now I just find people either in ticket links or in tweeting about the show, and I'll take a screenshot to remind myself to give them a shout out in the show. So lots of kind of stuff like that, or like other bands that I'm playing with, to like make the show just start immediately with this sense of like very aware of like where we are there and now, and not like the classic world weary musician who's like, "What's up, Cleveland?" And it's like, we're actually in Cincinnati.
Yeah. And speaking of that, I mean, we're kind of blowing through some of your discography, but I mean, the focus is more what you did this year since you get Entertainer of the Year. But your United States album, for inspiration for that, you were actually touring around on a bicycle like everywhere in the United States. Did you hit every state or?
No, that would have
been insane.
Taken quite a long time. I just did one route across from West Coast to East Coast, and that took about just over 61 days of biking.
Wow.
I think to hit all the states and then like fly out to Alaska and Hawaii and bike those as well would feel like it would take you like about a year.
Oh yeah, you'd have to release an album every year to support the trip.
Yeah.
So after that album, I mean, we still had some COVID restrictions, and I know that you were one of the early troopers that was back out there on the road and maybe had a couple stumbling blocks with the COVID. I know that I had seen some of that, but you're back strong right now. You're still out there quite busy.
Just did 73 shows. It was went from like the slowest, I've ever been to the fastest number of shows I ever played back to back.
And so there's a new there's like a score album. Like, what is this?
It's just my next album. It's called Synthetic. And I made it out in Calgary at the National Music Center. We've got a pretty rad music center in Canada that's in Calgary that has like some just bonkers, rare, expensive synthesizers, and you can apply to like go record there and use them. And so I did that back in 2019, and then started the album in 2020. Right before I was there like the week before everything shut down, and then I came home and then kind of started working on that record, and now here we are 2 years later and it's coming out.
So I did see some footage of you when you were out on tour, and some of the stuff in social media when you were looking for a moniker for your Space Cowboy persona on stage.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring that back. I need to go back to that post and find all the best ideas and start making some polls.
That obviously ties in with the teaser that I saw online just from like yesterday or something. Space Western. So is that where the album has the subtitle Season 1 on it?
Yeah.
And then this is being promoted as a teaser. Is there an actual short film, or is this like a whole concept for the album?
Yeah. So basically there's I'm just kind of developing the world building of this space cowboy character that I made to do support shows for my bud's Tupperware remix party. Who are wearing their shirt right now. Hometown heroes that made it big in the world. And it's funny, I've been doing this for 13 years and I never got a big like US tour in that whole time, and all it took was me just waiting long enough until a younger set of friends got more famous and then invited me on the road to open for them.
Did the United States album come out before that or after that?
Or
is that where you got it
the
from?
United States? No, I mean I biked across America and played those shows, but I mean, like the 73 shows I just played.
Yeah.
I've never. It's. I mean, that's a classic challenge of local artists out here
Oh
in
yeah,
Nova Scotia
it's one.
is trying to get an invite on a big American tour, and it's only happened to like a handful of people over the years, and
Yeah.
so the to yeah, to get it. But then the joke about it is that it, you know, the twerp is from Nova Scotia, and just got famous enough to pull Rich onto the road.
Well, that's good news. And you have a little bit of experience to share with them too, then. So I'm sure it's a little bit more give and take than you're letting on there too. So your home now, like, is in Halifax area, Nova Scotia area for a little bit, or you're constantly on the road? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I go on the road, but I've been in this apartment now for 16 years.
Awesome.
Got lots of plants.
Yes. There you go. Yeah.
Got the Millennium Falcon up there somewhere.
You're well nested in there for sure.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Nice to keep central to Halifax too.
Sorry?
It's nice that you were able to keep central to Halifax too.
Yeah.
While still being able to keep active and traveling around too.
Yeah. I think I did come along at a time where it's possible to have Halifax as a home base instead of doing the thing that was kind of still common or to do now, to like leave Halifax and go live in, you know, Nashville, New York, Los Angeles, Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver.
And what's the next big thing that you have planned going into the fall then? Is it the Space Western?
Releasing the record, yeah. Synthetic Season 1. There's gonna be 4 seasons, and each one comes out 6 months after the previous.
Oh, see, now that does it for me right there. I'm gonna have to really dig in because I know that it'll keep going.
Yeah.
It does have an end though. You didn't say it has no end.
Unlike friends at Walking Dead, it is going to end in May 2024. Awesome. I've also announced that I'm retiring the show that I've been doing in 2025. So there's 3 tours left, 1 a year, and then that's it for confetti and parachutes. I'll sell off all the parachutes, and then I'm gonna switch to just doing seated shows, back to like how I started, sort of thing.
Do you are you planning that out to go along with your age a little bit too, or you're just thinking?
Yeah. I originally was gonna do this 2 years earlier, but the pandemic has set it back a little bit. So I was like, I can hold on for 2 more years.
Yeah, for sure. So you just played a big show in Halifax, like a free outdoor one, was that right?
Yeah. That was actually my first show of the new instrumental set. So no vocals, just what the new music on the next record is.
And so will you have the same musicians on stage with you for the next few live shows then, as you're going forward promoting this?
Yeah, I mean, and that's just me just doing it solo.
Is it? Okay. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. And so I imagine coming up, like this batch of interviews is being slotted in with other entertainers of the year for the nominations for Music Week. So are you're performing one of the days there at Music Week as well? Yeah. Do you remember which day it is right now?
The Saturday.
Okay, perfect.
And I think my slot's like maybe like 8:30 at the ballroom.
Oh, right. There you go. Look, I got a Space Cowboy outfit here I can bring with me.
Nice.
So maybe
I
got some glasses here. So
there you go.
I'll bring that, and I'll come look for you on the Saturday, and maybe we'll have a little party there. I imagine that's going to be a late night for me too, because one of the interviews from last week, actually, I think they're going on stage after 1 o'clock in the morning or something.
Yeah. I've done that slot before.
Yeah, I imagine. And I imagine with that kind of dance party feeling that you have in your shows, that
Mhm.
probably the late night kind of adds to it too.
I like performing in that sweet spot before it's too late. Like all my shows now, I'm trying to end by 11 p.m.
Yep.
or midnight at some places. Like it's hard to get, especially in the East Coast, either here or St. John's. It's hard to get on stage before midnight.
Yeah.
Because just we just have a later kind of crowd out here. But yeah, just trying to have like not a I'm never really been a fan of like a big slosh party, so I'm trying to, I'm not against alcohol, but I also don't I try and play early enough that people are just one or two drinks deep
Yeah,
instead of
I hear you.
five or six.
You're preaching to the choir. If you watched
Yeah.
all the episodes, you'd pick it up enough that I've said very similar things all the way through.
Yeah.
I have drink, I do drink, but I don't often
Yeah.
drink.
Yeah.
So I like to go enjoy the music.
I don't drink at my shows too, so
Mhm.
I'm always like kind of looking out at the audience. It reminds me back to my lifeguarding days. It's like just navigating and seeing like what's going on and everything.
And unrelated to the music stuff, one note I did have when I was doing some of the research, you came up with your name came up with an IMDb page. Have you done some acting outside of your own videos?
Yeah.
So is there any of that in your future, or is that?
Who knows? Yeah, I'm definitely up for it. Just a matter of getting the gig.
Yeah, awesome. Well, it's something to watch out for as you're doing these next 4 seasons and doing some music videos to go with it too. So, and I was familiar with a few of your songs over the years, obviously being an East Coaster myself, especially. Your music videos, is it different people usually? Like I know that in the teaser for Space Western, you mentioned that it was the same person that did some of your other videos.
Yeah, I've generally worked with Jason Levangie as like a producer on most of the videos, and then Noah Pink and Jason Eisner and Ian Angus have all been directors. And the last couple I've been like co-directing with the directors as well.
And the video for Walls, I think that was on like one of the first playlists we had for this show.
Oh, sweet.
We usually do a little YouTube playlist and Spotify and everything, but I think I think Walls was on the first YouTube one we had.
Cool.
And it was just kind of thematic wise because that one had all like the Much Music type stuff to it and everything.
Yeah.
So how did that one come about? Like, did you like Rick the Temp is right off the beginning? Is that somebody you knew, or did you have to reach out to him?
I reached out to him and he's just super nice, and he was very generous and down to reprise his role as Much Music VJ, and then it was kind of the third, I think of it as the third music video in a trilogy, where the first one was the one we did for It, where all the we did all the movie kind of reshoots, and then the second one was the Brian Wilson biopic, and then the third one was this Walls one, and each one was like a large group of people coming together to like homage something that they loved, and so everyone on set was having a lot of fun, like getting into the details of like recreating some of our favorite movies and music videos and stuff like that. So yeah, it was really to get to like kind of finish off that era of music videos in a fun way, and it was funny at the end of it. I had conversations with most of the artists that we parodied, and all of them were like nice, like in Instagram DMs and stuff like that, but certainly weren't like gonna be like, check out this video, but except for one, and that was fucking Weird Al.
Oh, really?
who's just like the sweetest. And he and his team took the video, ripped it off their internet, made a cut of it, and then he just introduced it to his fans, and
That's fun.
a bunch of people. Now I got some Weird Al fans who all were very nice about us doing a parody of his parody of Nirvana.
That's pretty good. It's nice to have the crossover, but it's I mean, I'm sure yourself as an artist, it's nice to see the fans kind of cross over and share the same appreciation, because like when you do a parody, you're really paying an homage to it. Like you obviously liked them at one point to even think to put that in there, right?
Oh yeah. And I mean, Weird Al is like, I've said in many interviews, is one of my biggest influences. Like, he was the first show I ever went to as a kid when I was in grade 6, and went to see him at the Rebecca Cohen, and my mom lied to the security guard and snuck me in backstage, and met him after the show. So it's like very like a big moment, and then I got to meet him again years later, because my buddy Andy Bush directed one of his music videos, and Weird Al came back and played the Schooner Room in 2016, I think it was.
That's crazy that both things are, because it's a coincidence. Like those things aren't related.
Yeah. So, so I going to that first show in grade 6, like it's amazing how many of the elements that are in his show are in my show. And I was just like, oh yeah, this makes so much sense to do. Like the sensory overload of showing your music videos on a screen at the same time while playing it. So your eyes are constantly having to choose between whether to watch the performers on stage or the video content, and then the light show queued up, and then having like interludes in between so that you can do costume changes behind off stage and stuff. So yeah. And just the sense of like making a fun show and remaking it each time you go on the road, and having it feel more than just like another night watching a band come into town and play just like a bare bones set sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure. So what are you yourself looking forward to with the rest of 2022? Like, we come November, we have the awards for Music Nova Scotia, and you have projects that are on the go, stuff that you'll be promoting.
I'm just trying to, for the rest of this year, I've got to go over and tour in the UK right before Music Week, and then I'm also editing the movie, and I'm making seasons 2, 3, and 4 at the same time of the record. So pretty busy. So I'm trying to get that all done before the end of the year. If I can, I don't think it'll be like 100% done, but if I can get most of it done, then that'd be great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, once again, congratulations on the nomination, and it sounds like I'm going to be busy all evening, every night of Music Week, because I keep grabbing everybody to interview, and I keep saying I'm going to see them at their show. So I am looking forward to seeing you, because that does look like a really good time. Everyone seems to be. You've developed the ability to get the crowd worked up really quickly. Like everyone's all jumping around and excited.
I'm also not going to do my normal show for it. I'm going to do my new one. So it's going to be very, very mellow. I mean, it might not be mellow, but it won't be me interacting with the audience.
Yeah. Well, a new experience.
Yeah.
I like the gimmicks and the thought put in too. So I'm sure whatever you deliver is going to be worthwhile.
Thanks kindly.
And we will definitely be sure to try to catch up with you sometime during the Music Week itself. We'll be set up there somewhere doing a couple little interviews. And
there you go. If you guys want to follow us, we're available many locations. Not very busy in every location, but we're available. And you can find us in the Linktree link down in the show notes, or wherever you're watching this or listening to this. if you go below it, there's words. The words will be there, and you can click on the thing, and it'll take you to the post.
Subscribe.
Yeah.
Subscribe on YouTube or your favorite
Smash
podcast
the like
app.
button. Subscribe.
Yes.
Hit the bell.
Exactly.
Ding.
And we do not know what the next one's going to be after the series, so definitely subscribe so you can keep track of it.
Yes. And let us know if you think we should do something different.
Let us know if you find out what we're doing next.
When you find out, let us know so we are in the loop. Anyway, thanks for listening. It's a busy week, and we'll catch you either tomorrow or in a couple weeks or on Monday, depending on what day you listen to this episode, because we're honestly recording the outro and just copy and pasting it all through the week. Keep rocking.
Bye again.
Bye.